Hello! Are you ready to learn some fun things today? I know I am. Today we are going to learn about two letters of the alphabet, A and B, and we're also going to learn about two kinds of birds. One of the birds' names starts with the letter A, and the other bird's name starts with the letter B. And I bet you guessed that, didn't you? Let's look first at the birds whose name starts with the letter A. Do you remember that the letter A can make two sounds? Sometimes it sounds like this, ah, ah, ah. And sometimes it says its own name. It says A, A, A. When the letter A says ah, 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 that's called a short A. I don't know why it's called a short A, but that's what they call it. And when the letter A says its own name and says A, 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 that's called a long A. Not a tall A, but a long A. Isn't it funny how they come up with names sometimes? Well, our bird that we are talking about first, his name starts with an A. And I want you to listen carefully as I say his name and try to figure out if the A sounds short, ah, 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 or long, A, A, A. Are you listening? The bird's name is albatross. Did you hear that A sound? Ah, albatross. It started with a short A. Did you get that? Good. The albatross is a really neat bird. And I want you to look in the picture for some clues about where he lives. Do you see any trees in the picture? I don't, so I don't think he lives in the forest. What do you see? I see some sand, and I think I see some water too. That means that the albatross likes to live near the water, the sea. He lives near the ocean. Do you know what's kind of funny about the albatross? He's a pretty big bird. Now there are some birds that are too big to fly, like the ostrich. Well, the albatross is big, but he can still fly. But he does sometimes have a little trouble getting started. He'll have to run down the beach on his legs and flap his wings, flap, 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 before he can take off and soar into the sky. And when he soars, he looks so beautiful with his long wings, and he can go very fast. Well, let's take a look at this picture. Do you see how big the albatross's wings are? Did you know that one wing of the albatross is probably about as big as your father is tall? Wow. Well, let's look at all the letters in the albatross's name. Now we know that first letter, don't we? The capital A. Now let's take a look at the rest of the letters. We see an L, B, another A. This is a lowercase a. Does it look different than some other lowercase a's you've seen? There's a T, R, O, S, and another S. And all together it says albatross. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the letter A and about the albatross. There is a neat poem about the albatross. Listen as my son reads it for you.
The albatross. Spread out thy broad and powerful wings, and hasten over the sea. What bird, O albatross, in speed can hope to equal thee?
Thank you, Ben, for reading that poem. I really enjoyed it. Now let's move on to our next letter and our next bird. Our next letter is B, and our next bird, well, he is called a bittern. Now let's talk about the letter B for a minute. Do you remember how the letter A had two sounds, a short sound and a long sound? Well, luckily, B only has one sound. B says B. That's pretty easy, isn't it? Can you remember that B says B, 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 B? Well, now let's take a look at our bird, the bittern. Let's look at his pictures for clues, just like we did with the albatross. Are there any clues in the picture about where he lives? Does he live in a forest? Nope, I don't see any trees here either. But I do see water. I don't really see any sand, but I see water with reeds growing out. You can see those tall grass-like things? Those are called reeds. Reeds usually grow in swampy areas called marshes. Well, that's where the bittern likes to live. He likes to walk around in swamps. And when he sees something yummy like a little fish or insect or a little amphibian, he stalks it. That means he moves very slowly towards it until he's close enough to snap it up in his beak. Well, the bittern lives in the water, but not at all the same kind of water that an albatross lives in. An albatross likes the rolling, salty waves of the ocean, and the bittern likes the slow-moving, swampy water of the marshes. Have you ever seen some birds and they had long legs and really long necks wading around in the water? Those were probably herons, and the bittern is related to the heron. Now in this picture, the bittern doesn't look like he has a very long, slender neck, does he? But look at this picture. Look, his neck's stretched out. It looks pretty long. Uh-oh, now it's short again. That's funny. He can stretch his neck out long or kind of crunch it up short like this. Do you want to see that again? Long neck, short neck. How cute. Now let's look at all the letters in the bittern's name. First we see the capital B, then the I, then two T's, then an E, R, and N. All together, these letters say bittern. I hope you've enjoyed this little lesson on the letter B and learned a few interesting things about the bittern. Be sure to listen to the poem about the bittern as Ben reads it. I think you'll like it.
The bittern. In reedy swamp and lonely marsh, where all is shade and gloom, the bittern stalks, and you may hear his voice in sullen boom.